apparently.
It's coming. Okay, yeah, it's a pleasure to be here on the 24th of October, presenting a little preview of the study that will possibly be entitled Amorous Visions, Fluid Sexual Moments in Italian Cinema. And what I'm presenting to you today is what will probably be a chapter on Fellini. You really can't do a book, an Italian film, without a chapter on Fellini. It would be some kind of suicidal move and also not fair. I've always had a very mixed relationship with Fellini. And so one of the challenges for me of doing this project is to come to terms of why he bothers me so much. I always think he's kind of overrated. But then, or gets a lot of the limelight sometimes to the expense of other directors. But it's a very personal, probably anxiety of influence type of syndrome. So what I'm presenting to you today is how the chapter on Fellini is going to be situated in the book. And two clippings, each one is 5 minutes, so I have to be concerned with time. And what my contribution to Fellini studies I hope to be in this book. Of course, there's a lot of Fellini studies, so that's difficult to do something entirely new. Okay, so the first chapter of the book, or perhaps the second, depends on how I start, is on a silent film, Assunta Spina, of 1914. And the main concept of this book has been studied by Giovanna Delle Vacche in a book called, in a book on the diva. And what's important to understand is that diva means goddess. Canta mio diva is how the Iliad starts in Italian translation. Sing me, O goddess. Okay. And so it's different from the femme fatale or the flapper, which are contemporary film types, because she has this double aspect of being at the same time a pagan goddess and a mater dolorosa. So she merges the Christian tradition with the pre-Christian tradition of the divine feminine. And so on that basis, my argument about Assunta Spina is going to be that the film is all about amorous inclusiveness. It's about this woman who loves 3 men. She loves them unconditionally, but they don't get it. And each one wants her to completely to herself, and so it all ends in tragedy. Then there is a tentative chapter on this sort of comedy of manner, romantic comedy style, film style of the 30s, called White Telephone. The genre is called White Telephone. That also happens at a time when Italian film is in decline, because the talkies have arrived from America and people want to see people talk at the movies. So Italians are a bit behind with that technology. Then there is a chapter on neorealismo, and that's really part of where my study of early Fellini, the movie I'm studying, I Vitelloni, is 1953. It's early Fellini. You can see Fellini, the auteur, but it's not exactly developed. So this is on neorealismo. Neorealismo is this time when Italians wake up from fascism and say, okay, we now want to use film or other literature to present a new national identity. The point being, it's all very good, of course, but the point being that a national identity is predicated on a territory that is considered the proper place for that identity. And so then it becomes a question of land ownership. And so in a way, it's about masculinity and domination of the land. So the land stops being sovereign. And that's where really I Vitelloni comes in. Again, it's part neorealismo in style, structure, but also it's where the practice of cinema d'autore becomes consolidated. That's the Italian for auteur film. And why is it important to establish the idea of cinema d'autore? Is because film is trying to establish itself as an art form. And many people, including Truffaut, the French director Truffaut, who is the one who first theorizes this, think that there is no art if there is no author. They don't really believe in group art, so they think if we can establish that there is an auteur, un autore, then we can say the film is an art. Okay, let me give you a little bit of context on I Vitelloni. What it the word means overgrown, milk-fed calves, or it can also mean, as a dialect interpretation, the big bowel or gut, namely a parasite, somebody who eats. And basically, it's a lazy, good-for-nothings. You have to consider that in Italy, people like to eat veal. So they overgrow these veals, they keep milk feeding them, so the meat is white and still tender, even though the beast is big. So that's what a vitellone is when you go to the butcher's. But then it has become a sort of euphemism for lazy, good-for-nothings. Okay. So this is what the film is about. It's about 5 vitelloni in a beach town in the east, on the Adriatic, where summers are steamy, but then the winter is deadly boring. Okay. I think that's okay. So there is these two extremes. On the one hand, there are arguments that, Fellini, if this concept applies of the filmmaker playing God, it does apply to Fellini, because in fact, he, in all his doings as a director, in 8 1/2, if you recall, he makes fun of the scriptwriter. The scriptwriter is a bit of a fool, and then Marcello, the protagonist, is really the director. And then in I Vitelloni, it's the same. There is a playwright, and you will see the playwright, the aspiring playwright. He's the one that you will see in the scene of homosexual panic that I will show you, the second clippings. So there is a bit of a he's a bit of a fool, this aspiring playwright. Whereas the character of Moraldo, who is the one that at the end leaves the beach town and goes to Rome, is the one who represents Fellini, that says, okay, I'm done with you guys. I want to go where my art, my genius can become expressed. Then the way Fellini cast is characteristic, and I've been learning about it. He doesn't care if you can act or not. He sees your face, he thinks that's a sculpture, and if it fits his idea of what this character is in the movie, you get hired. It's a bit, if you're an actor, especially in the actor-oriented, American film industry, a lot of people say, forget it, I'm not going to be your actor, I'm going to be your sculptor, but that's how he cast. And he's quite successful in his own way. He also infuriates producers. He says, I'm going to start shooting this day, but then he doesn't. The budget, he doesn't care. So he does a bit, act like God. He does his own thing, and there's no one. And as he advances in his career, that's even more, ever more so. So then, if there is a sovereign vision, if really is this autore, this auteur, what is the content? And that's where, my, oh gosh, what did I do now? Okay. What is the content of this vision? And what is the desire that animates the artist? And, okay. I guess one point that everyone would agree is that the vision is about beingness and not action. Because in fact, when you move from early Fellini to advanced Fellini, the plot, the narrative disappears altogether. He dwells in being in the moment, in the imaginary after the collective imaginary, the dream, these inclusive festive moments of idleness that are embraced with an ironic gaze that is benevolent and cherishing at the same time. It's very ironic but benevolent. And you will see a clip from Vitelloni's Carnival scene. Of course, you can say this is Bakhtin. I mean, you can interpret it with Bakhtin, the reversal, the polyphony, the carnival, the grotesque, the heteroglossia. It's all there, but I would want to move beyond that. The second clipping you will see is a scene of homosexual panic. And here I am invoking a founder of queer theory, Kosofsky-Sedgwick, who claims that in whole genre and age when the homosexual identity was being formed as a separate identity in culture, there are these this narrative, or film in our case, of homosexual panic, these moments of recognition where one is called to maybe confront that part of oneself and then runs away. It's that create this sort of inactivate a person sexually because they can't go one way or another, so it becomes a closet of the closet of the closet. So then my claim is that this panic is really a fear of the wild side, of what it would take to turn real life into a circus, a carnival, an orgiastic space of orgasmic immersion into the pleasure of the other, where all the boundaries of the self would be busted, would disappear. So now I'm asking you to watch this. I can give you a little bit of background so that you can Anthony, can you just turn the lights off? You'll see it much better. This is, as I said, it's early Fellini, but it's already Fellini. Remember that, the carnival is always pivotal in a Fellini movie. And it's this Bakhtianian moment where everybody plays it being someone else. You see one of the Vitelloni is cross-dressed. That's Alberto Sordi. And this is another Vitelloni. He's the philanderer type. And this is another Vitelloni. This is Fellini's brother, actually. It's a very minor part in the movie. But now you see them all in this scene, which is, very, very inclusive. Even the parents, the more stuffy, older people are enjoying. And this is a famous couple. He's this major philanderer, and the plot revolves around him. This is the playwright, the aspiring playwright. And here you see another scene of reversal where the wife of the boss of the philanderer is, dressed more charmingly than usual, and there's some stuff happening before. This is a maid who is neighbors with the playwright, and they often look at each other from the window. They have nighttime conversations. She's clearly of another class from the woman who is accompanying him. See, and she believes it all. He's this great writer, but in reality, nobody. She's pregnant. She wants to eat, but the philanderer is not happy with that for some reason. You have to see this. It's realismo. Neorealism is this mixture of comedy, farce, some drama, some melodrama at times. This is Moraldo, the Vitelloni who eventually leaves and goes to Rome. We don't know for what, but we know from Fellini's life. And he's brothers with this woman who's pregnant. And now comes his boss, the philanderer's boss. She's dressed for the carnival, and there's this little moment of the sexual moment. He looks at her with different eyes. She throws the confetti. See, the philanderer's gaze. He's contemplating. And so then the husband comes, and then they go somewhere else. Okay, and of course his mind is thinking. He's already set. And in fact, the next day he harasses her on the job and gets fired. But to him, he wouldn't let the opportunity go by without trying. And here you see all these scenes, very inclusive scenes, where all these people who are living their lives together in this small town, they really share this moment. He is looking, of course, at the other woman. This is a little bit of a scene on, let's see that I may be going over time.
Guarda che bello.
Oh, però mi gira la testa. E adesso?
I think I have to move up.
Domani ti porta a fare una bella
I can't
passeggiata.
show you all of this. Okay, I think we need to go to the next because otherwise we won't make it another time. Okay. So this is at the end of a variety show. And of course, the philanderer is already looking at one of the variety girls with whom he will speak at night. The playwright is reading his play to this actor. And eventually, the way the scene ends, I think I need to go forward. So I see with the time on I don't know where to stop.
E tu non sai fare nessuna imitazione, ma
I don't know how
dai
to
che
go
sei
forward.
così serio. Lo sai che mi piace questo morettino, è un tipo molto fine.
Anche il delitto, niente più, mi fa orrore.
We have to be a little patient. I might go over a bit.
Ragazzi, c'è la radio qui, adesso l'accende.
Ma queste cose non si dicono.
Because I need to go to the end of it. Maybe like this I can. Yeah, I can move it maybe. Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is the playwright and the actor. They are leaving the restaurant so that they can be more intimate. And they're supposed to read the fourth act. And so where does the actor take the would-be playwright to a solitary place? And it's already fall, perhaps, so there's wind near the beach. And the playwright follows him because he's so excited about this connection and the hope of acquiring fame. And then here they are in front of the beach. I can't make it better because I will lose the point. I think if I go to view slideshow, I will lose it. Okay? But it's very important to see this last scene because it's really a scene of homosexual panic that would, that Kosofsky-Sedgwick would approve of. See? He wants to read the fourth act on the beach where it's dark. And Leopoldo says, oh no. And he runs. And he says, well, it was a joke, it was a joke. Okay. So, so that's the scene of homosexual panic. So my point, if you can get the lights up, critics have made the point that each Vitelloni is an aspect of Fellini's personality, whom I call the all-encompassing visionary of the all-inclusive orgy of life. For example, one is the womanizer, one is the homophile, one is the intellectual. And my point is that his dreams, Fellini talks about his dreams, of how his films are really all about his dreams. Okay, that so within, as without, so as within, so without. And that he really wants to include in his vision and his dreams all of these people. He really wants them all to come together at the same place and just cross those boundaries of the self to where there is a sort of merged aura for all of them, which is what happens in the Carnival scene and many other famous Fellini scenes. And what is this vision when, one of the dreams that he reports is that it is really a dream to return to the undifferentiated, the divine feminine mother the hostess lover, the liquid matrix of life. And let me read this dream that he talks about. First of all, I want to remind that in Romance languages, the word for mother and sea are the same. La mère in French, el mar, la madre in Spanish, il mare, la madre in Italian. So there is these dreams of when Fellini is a child being bathed by women. There is this dream of the monster that comes out of the sea, and it looks like a very large woman. Very large women are also famous of Fellini's movie. This dream, this vision, is really about this return to the undifferentiated, which is a bit another version of what the diva represents. This return to the tonic, to the pre-civilized, to a world where the self is not separate from what is not self, which is a way to return to the womb also, as Willem Reich would say. And I think I want to close here because I really want to listen to the responses. There are more details, of course, in the handout, the quotes that I plan to use and arguments I plan to make. That's it.